If we leverage this model, we can genuinely empower local entrepreneurs.
I agree, Thandeka. The social impact strategy is brilliant. Let's definitely pitch this framework tomorrow.
In August 2014, an Afro-Korean love story began in a crowded university lecture hall in Johannesburg. At first glance, there was nothing extraordinary about the two students sitting beside each other. Thandeka Ndlovu was a 22-year-old South African business administration student with big dreams and limited resources. Min-Seok Park was a 23-year-old Korean engineering student carrying the weight of expectations from a wealthy family thousands of miles away. What nobody knew at the time was that these two young students would one day build a multi-billion-dollar empire stretching across Africa and Asia. In fact, there were people who openly laughed at the idea of them even becoming friends. One lecturer reportedly joked that they wouldn't survive a semester working together, let alone build a successful company. Years later, those same people would watch them become one of the most inspiring entrepreneurial couples of their generation. But before the success, before the wealth, before the headlines, there was struggle. A lot of struggle. Thandeka grew up in Johannesburg, surrounded by hardworking people who constantly fought to create opportunities where few existed. She understood sacrifice from an early age. Every textbook, every tuition payment, every step toward graduation required determination. She wasn't searching for luxury, she was searching for possibility. Min-Seok's life looked very different from the outside. He came from a successful family in Seoul. Financial security was never a concern. Yet, despite the privileges surrounding him, he often felt trapped. His future had already been planned for him. The family business, the family expectations, the family reputation. Everyone seemed to know what his life should look like except him. Then came an international entrepreneurship seminar hosted at a university in Johannesburg. Students from different countries were assigned to startup project teams. By pure chance, Thandeka and Min-Seok landed on the same team. Their first conversations were awkward. Different cultures, different backgrounds, different life experiences. Yet they quickly discovered something important. They shared the same hunger. Both wanted to build something meaningful. Both wanted to prove that their future didn't have to be dictated by circumstances. Their first real conversation happened over inexpensive noodles in a university cafeteria. Thandeka asked him about his business ideas. Min-Seok spoke about connecting Korean innovation and manufacturing with opportunities across Africa. The idea sounded ambitious, maybe even unrealistic. But Thandeka didn't dismiss it. Instead, she challenged it, questioned it, improved it. For the first time, Min-Seok found someone who wasn't interested in telling him what couldn't be done. Over the following months, they spent countless evenings together working on presentations, researching markets, and brainstorming startup concepts. Their friendship grew naturally. So did their admiration for each other. Thandeka introduced Min-Seok to South African culture. He learned how to prepare pap and chakalaka. He learned local expressions. He learned the importance of family and community within her world. In return, Min-Seok introduced her to Korean culture, kimchi, traditional meals, the values of perseverance and discipline that shaped much of Korean society. The more they learned about each other, the more they realized that their differences were becoming strengths rather than obstacles. Late-night study sessions turned into long conversations. Long conversations became daily habits. Daily habits became emotional dependence. Eventually, they stopped imagining the future separately. 3 months after meeting, their relationship became impossible to ignore. Friends noticed, classmates noticed, and unfortunately, critics noticed too. Many people questioned the relationship. Some doubted it because of cultural differences. Others doubted it because of race. Some simply believed long-term success was impossible. But the criticism from strangers was nothing compared to what came next. Min-Seok's family learned about the relationship. Their reaction was immediate and harsh. They wanted him to return to Seoul. They wanted him to abandon his entrepreneurial ambitions. Most importantly, they wanted him to end the relationship. As pressure increased, Min-Seok found himself facing an impossible choice: the woman he loved, or the family he had known his entire life. The emotional burden was overwhelming, yet through it all, Thandeka remained beside him. neither of them realized that much harder challenges were still ahead. Before we continue, and before we get to the moment everything nearly collapsed, here's a quick question. If you're enjoying this story and you love real Afro-Korean romance journeys filled with love, ambition, and success against all odds, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And while you're watching, leave a comment below. Do you think you could stay in a relationship if your family completely disapproved of the person you loved? I read every single comment. Now let's get back to Thandeka and Min-Seok, because the challenges they faced next would test everything they believed about love, loyalty, and sacrifice. Graduation arrived. Reality followed. The startup ideas they had developed in university suddenly had to survive in the real world, and the real world was unforgiving. Investors rejected them. Business proposals failed. Meetings ended with disappointment. Savings disappeared. Expenses increased. At one point, the couple found themselves living in a tiny one-room apartment while surviving on less than $20 per week. Every purchase had to be calculated. Every meal had to be stretched. Every day became a test of endurance. Then came the eviction notices. Bills piled up faster than opportunities. The startup they believed in appeared to be collapsing. For the first time, both of them questioned whether they were fighting a battle they couldn't win. There were nights when silence filled the apartment, not because they were angry, but because they were exhausted, mentally, emotionally, financially. One evening, staring at another rejection email, Thandeka quietly wondered if it was time to let the dream go. The future seemed impossible to see, but sometimes the darkest moments create the clearest vision. As they examined why businesses kept rejecting their ideas, they noticed a problem hiding in plain sight. African businesses struggled to access reliable manufacturing partners in Asia. At the same time, many Korean manufacturers wanted access to growing African markets but lacked trusted networks. There was a gap, a massive gap, and nobody seemed to be connecting the two sides effectively. For the first time in months, excitement returned. But before they could pursue the opportunity, another crisis arrived. Min-Seok received an offer from Seoul, a prestigious position, financial security, a pathway back into his family's good graces. Everything he had been told he should want. The catch was simple. Accepting the offer would mean leaving behind the life he had built with Thandeka. The decision had a deadline, 48 hours, 2 days. That was all. On the final night, the couple sat together inside their nearly empty apartment. No dramatic speeches, no guarantees, just uncertainty. Thandeka told him she would understand if he chose the safer path. After everything they had endured, she didn't want guilt to influence his decision. Min-Seok listened quietly. Then he stood, walked toward the door, and stopped. At that moment, he understood something. Security wasn't what he truly wanted. Purpose was. Partnership was. The future they had imagined together was. He turned around and made the decision that would change everything. He chose Thandeka. He chose the business. He chose the dream. The consequences were immediate. Family support disappeared completely. Financial challenges remained. Nothing magically improved overnight. But something had changed inside them. They were fully committed. No backup plan, no safety net, no retreat. Soon afterward, they launched a logistics and technology platform focused on connecting Korean manufacturers with African businesses. Progress was slow at first. Then came a breakthrough contract, then another, then another. Momentum began to build. The company expanded across borders. New partnerships emerged. Technology solutions improved efficiency. Investors who once rejected them started paying attention. Years passed. The small startup transformed into a multinational enterprise operating across multiple countries. Today, Thandeka and Min-Seok divide their time between Seoul, Johannesburg, and Lagos, while overseeing a global logistics and technology group. They mentor young entrepreneurs, they support students from disadvantaged backgrounds through their foundation, and they continue building opportunities for others who face the same barriers they once faced. They have now been married for 6 years. Together, they are raising a young daughter who grows up experiencing both South African and Korean traditions. Their home reflects both cultures, their celebrations reflect both cultures. Their story reflects both cultures, and despite all the success, they still face challenges. Running a global company demands time. International travel creates pressure. Balancing family and business requires constant effort. But perhaps that is what makes their story meaningful. It was never a fairy tale. It was never perfect. It was a choice made repeatedly. A choice to stay, a choice to communicate, a choice to believe when belief seemed unreasonable. Remember when we talked about surviving on less than $20 a week? Well, those difficult days became the foundation of everything that followed, because the real wealth they built wasn't money, it was trust, it was resilience, it was the ability to keep moving forward when everyone else expected them to quit. One quote from Thandeka captures their journey perfectly. Love across cultures isn't about becoming the same person. It's about building a future where both people can become their best selves without leaving their identity behind. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. Sometimes the people who tell you something is impossible are only describing the limits of their imagination, not yours. Before you go, here's something exciting. In our next story, we'll be sharing the incredible journey of a Nigerian fashion designer and a Japanese business heir whose families tried everything to keep them apart. What happened after they secretly started building a luxury fashion brand together shocked everyone around them. You won't want to miss that one. So hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We share new Afro-Korean billionaire romance stories every week, and each one proves that extraordinary love can come from the most unexpected places. And before you leave, tell us in the comments, what was the biggest lesson you learned from Thandeka and Min-Seok's journey? I genuinely love reading your thoughts, and many of your comments inspire future stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.